Everyone in the room said he was being so gentle with her. Nobody asked what he was actually paying attention to. The apartment was on the third floor of a building that had last been wired in 1987. Jonah and Reina Castillo had lived there for 3 years. They knew the building's quirks, the second-floor hallway light that flickered in humidity, the outlet in the kitchen that had stopped working and they just stopped using. They had a 10-month-old daughter named Soleil and a 2-year-old husky named Bolt, who had been, in Reina's words, a different dog since Soleil came home. The change was subtle. He had always been calm. He became calmer. He moved through the apartment with a new deliberateness, the specific economy of motion of an animal that has assigned itself a task. He slept near Soleil's bassinet. He oriented toward her when she made sounds at night. He had, over 10 months, become the ambient guardian of a baby who did not yet know his name. So when Bolt began sitting very close to Soleil on Saturday afternoon, the kind of close that put his body in full contact with hers on the floor mat, no one in the room thought anything of it. Reina's mother, visiting from across town, said it was sweet. Jonah took a photograph. Bolt was not relaxed. He was sitting upright, not lounging, not draped. Sitting, the way a dog sits at attention. Weight forward, head up. His blue eyes were not on Soleil's face. They were on the wall behind the entertainment unit. He would look at it for 10 to 15 seconds, then look at Reina, then look at the wall. He did this 11 times in 40 minutes. "Bolt, what are you looking at?" Reina said it lightly. He turned to look at her and held the eye contact for 3 full seconds. The pointed, sustained, "This is not casual eye contact," and then turned back to the wall. Jonah watched this from the kitchen doorway. He keeps looking at the same spot. The spot was the wall behind the entertainment unit. The entertainment unit they had pushed against the wall 3 years ago and never moved. That wall shared a cavity with the building's original 1987 aluminum wiring, part of a circuit that had been overloaded at some point in the past and never professionally inspected. If you stay for stories about what animals know before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Bolt started whining at 4:30 p.m. Still sitting, still body to body with Soleil, whining in the low continuous register that is not a demand for attention or food. The register of something that needs to be communicated and is running out of patience with the available vocabulary. Jonah moved the entertainment unit. There was a discoloration on the baseboard behind it. Faint, brown at the edges, the kind of mark that could be old water damage, or paint aging, or something in the wall that had been heating for longer than anyone had known. He called the building's emergency maintenance line. The maintenance person arrived in 20 minutes, looked at the discoloration, pulled out a thermal imaging device, the kind building managers carry for exactly this kind of call, and went quiet. The aluminum wiring behind that section of wall had been arcing. The baseboard showed a surface temperature of 109 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside the wall, the junction box had a hot spot at 178 degrees. The insulation had begun to char. The fire marshal's report described it as a slow burn, the kind that develops over weeks and smolders inside walls before it finds oxygen. Inside the wall cavity, behind the entertainment unit, that nobody would have found without moving the unit, that nobody would have moved without a reason to. The marshal said, "Another 12 to 18 hours, and this goes through the drywall. In a third-floor apartment with that wiring age, you have 15 minutes from smoke to structural involvement. Probably less." Soleil was asleep in her crib when they moved out that night for the mandatory evacuation. Bolt walked out beside her stroller. He did not look back at the building. Has your dog ever stared at a wall, a corner, a specific spot, and you later found out what was there? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. The repairs took 9 days. The wiring was replaced throughout the unit. A modern circuit breaker was installed. The building manager sent a formal letter. Reina keeps Jonah's photograph from that Saturday. Bolt sitting upright next to Soleil, both of them looking different directions. Soleil toward the camera, Bolt toward the wall. It looks at first like a sweet candid of a dog and a baby enjoying the afternoon. He was not enjoying the afternoon. He was sitting between his baby and a fire he had already found, making himself as large as possible between the two of them, looking at the source of what he smelled and then at the humans in the room. Again and again, in the patient, methodical way of an animal who understands that the information exists and that someone simply has to receive it. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Bolt sleeps against the wall now, on the new side of the repaired apartment, back against the fresh drywall, facing out, watching the room. Tomorrow, a dog and a newborn. And the night the dog wouldn't sleep. The building inspector who certified the repair walked through the apartment on the final day and paused at the wall where the entertainment unit had been. He pressed one hand flat against the fresh drywall and held it there for a moment. "Good work," he said to the repair team, not to Jonah or Raina. He signed the paperwork and left. That evening, Jonah put the entertainment unit back against the new wall. He hesitated before pushing it fully into position. He thought about Bolt, looking at the wall 11 times in 40 minutes. He thought about the gap between what Bolt had been reading and what Jonah had been able to read. He left a 6-inch clearance between the unit and the wall. He hasn't explained this to anyone who has visited and noticed. He doesn't have a good explanation for it in language that doesn't sound strange. He just knows that Bolt had been filing reports for 40 minutes, and the reports had been accurate, and the least he can do is leave a little room to look. Soleil is 14 months now. Bolt sleeps against the new wall every night, back to the drywall. Facing the room, Raina keeps the photograph on her phone, dog looking right, baby looking forward, the afternoon light, the entertainment unit, the wall. She looks at it sometimes when Bolt does something she can't explain. She looks at it and asks herself whether she's missing a report. Usually the answer is no. She checks anyway.